my flow, I keep it controlled. Retract that filament, watch the story unfold. Overhang sharp, got the cooling on blast. Supports easy peel tray style, built to last.
Hey guys, what's up? Roger here. And it's Saturday. And man, I'm in a Christmas, like the post-Christmas funk. Like I haven't had an order in a couple days, which I guess is okay. Gives me time to work on a couple things. One, not too long ago, I bought some like welding fillet gauges. And they're just so awkward to use. I just hated them. And I found this set on Maker World. Looked promising. I said, you know what? Today's a good day for that. I'm going to print these out. And then we're going to work on some of our disposable cup holders for cloudy cup holders. That account finally was able to start advertising. So I'm starting to be able to put some information out there and kind of push it on Etsy and see what we can get going with that. But I want to get a couple more models built and listed on there. That way, just the most popular, most used models. And we'll just see how that goes. But again, it's post-Christmas. A lot of people aren't spending money right now. So it's a good time for me to just work on some projects and get some products up on the website, get everything kind of caught up. And I need to go ahead and see what's going on with my Amazon account, my Amazon seller account. I applied for the maker, or what that was, handmade. Applied for the handmade thing. Haven't heard anything back from them, so I need to check on that too. But let's get these guys printed out so we can get that finished, and then we'll move forward on working on those cup holders. You know, I tried to import an image and create the geometry off of an image, like you bring it on the canvas and draw around it. I just didn't like how it turned out. I don't know. Maybe we'll try it again on video and I can show you that experience versus just drawing out the geometry separately, and we can kind of see which one we like the best. But I don't know. It was weird. I guess if it was an odd shape, like if I was trying to make a holder for a tool or something, then the canvas method would probably be pretty good. But these have very predictable geometries to them. And, you know, when I'm trying to just kind of draw around them, it just doesn't turn out as clean as I like. So we're going to do it this way by measuring the fillets and doing some measurements. All right, let's get this finished. Then we'll jump in and we'll do some design work. Alright guys, I've got my fillet gauges printed out. As you can see, the lid doesn't go down all the way, and I think it has something to do with the orientation of the gauges themselves. This could be a disaster. This very far side is not in that base very well. You can see how it just kind of sits in there. They're a little bit loose. I think the orientation is the other way. They fit very, very snugly. And it may be the other orientation that they're supposed to go in. But as you can see, there was a lot of them. And once I got them in there and then tried to put the lid on, I was like, you know, the lid went on good enough. But it did allow me to get the fillet measurement from our disposable. The one we're doing right now is the Geek Vape Pulse X. And I'm going to show you how I do that. So let's switch over to screen view so you can see the software, and you can see right here we have this is what I call just like the core, right? This is the core of every product I design. It's going to be for this product line. It's going to be exactly like this. It starts like this, and then I just add the geometry for whatever that product is. So let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to click on the face of this. We're going to start a new sketch, and then I'm going to do a center rectangle, and I'm going to put it right there. Doesn't matter because we can move it later if we want to. We are going to add 0.3 of a millimeter to all this just to add some additional clearance. So the first measurement was 57.63. So we're going to go on the long side with 57.93. That's right. Yeah. And next, we have a width of 28.7 So it would be 29.07. 29.07. And this is going to give us the size of our box. This is what we need. And we're going to scoot it over just a little bit. One of the issues we're going to have, and I don't like the fillet sketches. I like to fillet the extrusions. But in this case, if I was to just extrude this, which you'll notice, let me just escape and kind of click on this and hit extrude, and we do about 40 millimeters on the negative, that is. Right? And if we do that, what we'll see is that the extrusion comes outside of the cup holder, and we don't want none of that. So in this case, and this is the only case that I've seen thus far, I will actually fillet inside the sketch itself. Our fillet radius was 14 millimeters for the body. And then we'll go around and we'll just do a fillet on all these corners. There we go. And that'll create our fillet. We'll enter to accept that. Now we can go in and we can extrude. And we can do our negative 40 millimeters. And then what you'll see is it no longer punches out of the side. It is uncomfortably close to the center though. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and accept that. Go ahead and create that hole, but I'm going to go down here in the sketch history, and I'm just going to move it over. Now that we've got it, all drawn out, I think I like right there. Go ahead, finish sketch, and now you can see we have a nice hole. So I measured the bottom of the device also, and it was around 10 millimeters on the fillet right here. So if I do 10, what you'll see is now we're going to have some bridging. This prints upside down. So when it prints upside down, what's going to happen is we don't print with supports. I don't do no supports ever. What you're going to see is there's going to be some bridging across here, right? And that will make that not look very good. When I measured that at 10, I could probably get away with a little more. Understand the customer doesn't see it when they put it down in there. If I made it 13, now you can see the bridging is very small. Let's see what 12 looks like. Let's do that. That's pretty small. It's about 2 degrees more than, or 2 millimeters more in the fillet than we really need, but it minimizes that bridging, and I think it'll make it look better in the long run. And the reality of it is it slides down in about 30 millimeters, and being a couple millimeters off on that fillet, not really going to make a difference, but it will make a lot of difference when it comes to the finished product. So I'm going to leave it just like that. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fillet on the edge here, about 2 millimeters of fillet on the edge, just to give it a nice finished look. And that looks awesome. Now, the other thing we have to do is we have to put this whole sketch on the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on all the features down here that create this. In the timeline, you see I've got them all selected. Perfect, perfect. I'm going to hit S on the keyboard and type mirror. There we go. And then I've already got my elements selected. And once I have a plane, and we're going to do this plane right here. And then we're going to click OK. And boom, you can see easy peasy. Now we're done. So that's it. We've created this product. That's all it takes to do that. Take some measurements and a little bit of planning. Now, like I said, this will print like this on the 3D printer. So that's why, that bottom fillet and this distance right here is so important. We don't have to do supports. The smaller we can make that area, the less it has to bridge, or the more precisely it will bridge. and the better it'll look. So that is it, guys. It's kind of that simple. I did a lot of the homework already just by creating the blank, and then it's just a matter of adding the geometry for each individual device to create the finished product. All right, guys, that's the end of that. Just in case you didn't know. All right, we're ready for this is the cup holder we just designed. Went ahead and did a prototype, and it's probably not a prototype, it's probably the finished product. Let's be real for a second. We're just going to take this, drop it right in there. I did some matte purple, so I'm offering it in purple, red, black, white, and brown. For what reasons, I don't know. I just chose some colors, and that was the colors I came up with. So we're waiting. We've got 1 minute to go. We did 5 top layers. And, yeah, my glass is dirty. We'll see how that turns out. We'll see if we can see any of the infill. I knocked the infill way down, like 6%. It doesn't need to be a ton of infill. It's not a part that needs a ton of support. It literally just holds this. Tiny little vapor. All right, it's all done. Where's my scraper? There it is. Let's get in here, have a little poke at it. Oh yeah, knocked it loose. Let's take a look at that. Oh, the info is ugly. Matter of fact, that bridging did not work at all. Okay. This is a different model than the one we designed. I actually designed this one earlier, and then I did the other one because I said, well, I didn't video that. I should have videoed that. All right, this is just a prototype, so no big deal. I'll have to print the other one because you see the bridging looked like garbage. I left this one pretty wide. Hell, there's a hole in that one. So, but we're not concerned about that. What we're concerned about is fitment. So let's see. Boom, look at that. And that's a good sign when you see that, when you see it power on. Okay, so when you see it power on, what's happening is there's not enough air escaping around it. So when you drop it in there, it pushes air up through the mod and turns it on. And you can see this one's dead. So if it's very precise fit and you drop it in there, it lights up because it pushes the air up out of there. You can see how nice and tight that is. That was 0.3 of an additional millimeter from the actual measurement. And that's beautiful. All right. So all we got to do now is fix that bridging that went on there. And like I said, this is, you can see that's wider than what we had modeled in the video. It's because I actually did it twice. So this is the one I did earlier and saved. So I'm going to go in and increase that fillet and close that area. The other issue is this is Polymaker PLA, and I have it set on the generic PLA setting. So this is not bamboo filament. I might go in and make a modification, and we'll see. But so far, fitment-wise, can't complain about that. Cannot complain about that. All right, let me go ahead and fix that bridging. Or basically what I'm doing is increasing that fillet until it closes that gap a little bit. It took me a minute to figure it out. I went back and looked at my previous model. There's one sitting over there. I'm like, why is this different? Because I didn't use a fillet, I used a chamfer. And fillets are not going to bridge right. I remembered that, and I went back and I was like, I see what I did. Why didn't I do a chamfer? So I went back and modified the model, put the chamfer in. You know, as much as you try to get the, it's frustrating, isn't it? As much as you try to learn, you still make mistakes every once in a while. And that is that case. I was so worried about getting this fillet right around the outside of the mod. I just wanted to get everything and match the fillet on the bottom. And I realized for me to print it upside down, It has to be a chamfer. That way it'll bridge across. And it actually works because I just printed it again and it's finishing up. Now this is the Elegoo Rapid PLA Plus set on the generic high-speed PLA setting. And it did the chamfer perfect and bridged across it. And I'm just waiting for it to finish now so we can look at it and make sure that everything is good. But I'm considering that model done at this point. It came out great, so we're calling it all good on that one. Time for some redemption. All right, so you can see that bottom is looking much better with the chamfer, not the fillet. We won't be doing that anymore, kids. Okay. So, we already know it fits. We already know that it lights up when it drops in, which tells us a lot about the fit. So we're good. We've got 2 Pulse X. We'll hold 2 Pulse X's in your cup holder. Nice. All right, done deal. Add that to the pile of cup holders available on Cloudy Cupholders on Etsy. You heard me? Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do me a favor. Give me a like, give me a comment, maybe a follow even. You know, I'd appreciate it. And if you had something you'd like to see designed, you've got an idea, throw it at me in the comments. If I think it's something interesting, maybe we'll do it. Alright, later.